Hello everyone and welcome to Advanced Hero Shooter Concepts 101. Today we're going over some macro concepts for pathing, high grounds, killbox setups, as well as supporting DPS on the off angles. So this is going to be quite a long video, so let's just get right into it, and I'll try to cut out as much nonsense out of it as I can. So in this last week's match, we struggled on figuring out how to path as a team, as six, right out of spawn door. And what matters is getting it, doing it as efficiently as possible so we don't run down the clock doing nonsense like, where do we go? How do I figure out how to get to high ground? Blah, blah, blah. So right out the gates, right here. Our goal is to path in a way to where we kind of ignore any nonsense fighting in this area in red or pink, which is what happened to us. We were running through this area and we're getting picked apart by a Black Panther. Now to do that, we have a very safe pathing, which sets us up for a really good offensive push. We're going to be in blue. We're going to come out of spawn. As a full 6-man. And we're going to come to here. From here, they're going to have to respect the fact that they can't do anything to us while we're crossing. Like this is their best opportunity, is when we're here, for them to do anything. And we need to help as 6-man. We need to be stacked as tight as possible, so they can't, we don't open any opportunity to get picked off. So when we get to like, I'm going to draw this in black. When we get to here, before we go out into the open, into what would be a kill box, essentially. And we've gone over that before, so if you don't remember what a kill box is, please reference one of the first videos that we watched this year. You want to make sure you're grouped as 6 before you begin crossing. Because if you don't, you leave yourself out in the open to get picked. So group is 6. And then we make our cross. So once we make it into here, I'm going to delete everything. And we're going to go move up. We've now made our 6 people make it to here. And the enemy is going to be holding anywhere on point at this point. So what's going to happen? Damien and Bryce, you are now going to be best friends. We're going to leave 4 of our members playing safely as possible here to try to wait and buy time for Bryce and Damien to push out this way and get behind them. Bryce and Damien are going to be pushing through this and taking control of this area. And Damien's going to help push anyone that tries to contest out. Now, this isn't limited to just, Bryce and Damien. We need to push in a way where our four men are still able to kind of support you, because you're not going to get any heals over here. What's great is that we're a pretty Luna heavy team, so we like to play Luna, and you get the snowflake on you. It really helps out a lot. But we want to take this angle and try to shoot them and create a crossfire. And you're not limited there. You can go here. You can play this mini. You can shoot here. You could have gone up here. We got options. And the map also changes in its dynamic, so. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have our core 4 playing safely until, but with enough pressure so we don't just get ran on while Bryce and And our Captain America are setting up. Or, Damien. And our 2-man. They're going to get scattered here, and they're not going to know, who do we give my focus to? If I look over there, I'm going to be shot in the back by a Moon Knight or a Hela or whatever, you know. If I look over here, we're going to get shot in the back by this group of 4 people. At some point, we're going to get a pick, and we're going to look to converge onto point. And what we did here is we took angles, and we set up point as a kill box, because point... What is a kill box? Well, it's pushing our enemy into open spaces. What's more open than this point right here? Not much. Alright, so now we cap point. I'm going to show you some examples of, you know, how can we consistently do this on other points after first, right? Well, commonly you're going to find our opponents liked holding here. Maybe here. Depends if they have more control. Depends on their respawn, how far we get this cart pushed out here. You know, wherever the cart is, it's going to depend on where the enemy's going to hold. Yada, yada, yada. Well, let's assume let's first fight after we cap, and we're looking to continue our snowball. Where's the enemy going to hold? And honestly, I'm going to say it doesn't matter where the enemy's holding. What I'm going to do is going to force the enemy team to walk away and respect that we took high ground on them. Well, what's great about Marvel Rivals, the cart moves as long as you capped it. We don't need to leave someone on it all the time. So, we're going to go on a snowball. And our goal is to take as much space as possible on the map, even without killing anyone, or even without us losing anyone. I mean, ideally, we don't even need to kill anybody to take this space, because we should have full map control. We're gonna come out here, and we're gonna take this high ground right here. Or you could take the stairs here. Get on the high ground up here. You're gonna group as 6. Once you're 6, up here, we're just gonna walk it up, and we're gonna take control of this high ground. Is an enemy team going to continue to hold here? Whoa. Is an enemy team going to continue to hold here if we're right here? Probably not. Because they're just going to lose. You're just shooting on them from their heads. So once you're 6-man here, we're gonna push out, and we're gonna take this area. We're gonna want to use corners, so we're gonna take that corner. We're gonna play back here with our supports probably, so they can't easily die. Well, what can Bryce and Damien look to do while we're doing that? Well, they could take the safer route. They could hang back over here. Hang out over here. Or they can start wrapping this way. Shooting on them here. But let's just assume, this team responds to us going to high ground. Well, once we're up here, I have a feeling a good team, the good team's going to flip the map. They're going to go to point, and they're going to stop the cart from moving because no one on our team is there to stop it. A bad team is going to go here and give up the entire map. And this is us just going to high ground and not getting a single kill. So, I've seen us do this many times, let me say it. Well, what do we do now that we've got them pinchered in this area? Well, we continue holding this high ground and wait for the cart to move up, of course. And we just play safe, play slow. Look for a pick. Just keep pressuring them from here in a safe spot on high ground. When the cart moves up enough, say we got all this cart space for free, Bryce and Damien can then, you know, you guys are now partners in crime. You two can begin making your flank. Pressure them from here. Maybe pressure them from here. It's all situational depending on what you see. At a certain point, you know, we drop off the high ground and we fight on cart. Cart gets to here. We drop on it. Yeah. Look at this giant open kill box. The enemy is occupying all this ground right here. And we are over here. We just cap point. Well, how can we take all this ground for free without even having to shoot a single bullet? The answer to that, we take high ground. As 6. So while we're in this open space, we need to group, stack 6. Make sure everyone's stacked, and we begin. And this is mostly on the tanks to make sure everyone gets in safe, because the squishies want to get into this corridor as soon as they can and get safe. But we group up on our tank, and then our tanks start helping you get in the door. Now that we're in the door, we're going to go up to here. And we're going to walk out here. And these people that were standing right here are now forced to respond to us being here. On this high ground right here. And they're going to have to fall back. So now we are holding here. And the enemies have had to have backed up to here without us even landing a single elimination. You want to take this a step further? How can Bryce and our cap rotate off of our 6-man rotation to take an off angle? Well, instead of them following us out here, through this door, which leads to here. All we have to do is wait for you guys to peek out as 4 over here. And then Bryce and Damien can late peek right here. And they can shoot out this window at the enemy. They can come out and play this door. And if they need to back off, because they're getting pushed out by 6, they back off. And if they're being pushed, and if at any point they're being pushed by a bigger group, and this goes for any point that I showed, by the way. This is just a general rule of thumb. Our 4-man needs to move up. Anytime Bryce starts getting pressured by more. Now let's get creative. We've now pushed our enemy into here. Well, Bryce still wants to play an off angle because he's shooting. Stacking is 6. Shooting through this choke. What are you going to do when there's double shield enemies right here? Like, you're not going to get through that pretty easily, yeah. So we still want to look for off angles. So what do? We do a 4-2 split again. And we push that out. Or maybe we push this way out. And we create a crossfire. Anytime we start getting over pressured on our 2 side, it just opened up a ton of space for our 4-man to push in for free. Now let's try to apply this on every single point in the game. Let's get creative here. I could sit here and make, 10, 40, 10, 20-minute videos for every map we have in the pool. Do you want to watch that much content? I mean, probably not, but I could do it. Let me know what you think. Any questions, please let me know.